All right, what's going on, folks? Welcome to Got Your Back post-game live stream short shift edition. Ryan Rishaug here in the Sherwood Park studios. Oilers with the big win tonight, 6-3 over the Winnipeg Jets on this trade deadline Friday. Team's playing pretty well right now. They're going at a pretty good clip. Real solid performance tonight. Yeah, they let them back in there a little bit at the end, but really, was it ever in doubt? Really strong performance from the Oilers. Going to get to Jason Strudwick in just a moment. And we're going to break down the game, talk a little recap of trade deadline as well. Short Shifts brought to you, as always, by our awesome friends and great sponsors over at Mid-City Construction Management. They're a locally owned family company specializing in civil construction projects for over 40 years, from roadways to excavation, underground utilities, paving, and concrete. They have played a massive role in the infrastructure of Edmonton and surrounding area since 1980. I know the crew over there, some great people working there. They do have some job postings up right now, so you can go to you can search the Mid-City on Indeed, or you can go to mid-city.ca and you can click on careers. Family company, real nice group over there. Feels to me like it'd be a great place to work. Struddy, how we doing, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. Enjoyed that game. Really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, it was pretty good entertainment value, I think, for fans. I think, the Oilers certainly got lots of power play time to try and huck that thing around out there. But I don't know, man. It just seems to me like this is a few games in a row where the Oilers are really bringing their good stuff. And once again tonight, not really left in doubt. I thought they started strong. And for whatever reason, they got access to their high-end game right at puck drop right now for whatever reason.
They're dictating the game. They came out and Winnipeg had to take penalties. Right away.
Yeah,
that's a tough penalty for Kyle Connor to take neutral zone. Can McDavid maybe get away? Yeah, maybe not. But he's reaching. Kyle Connor's not moving his feet. Connor McDavid is. Boom, 2-minute penalty. Boom, score. Pretty much the game, right? It was hard to call at that point, but you get the point. Yep. They're setting the tone, and just because you set the tone doesn't mean you win the game every night. Every single game you play it's hard to win. But when you come out and play your style, you make the other team adjust to you. And you can always feel that as a player. When you're kind of going, the team's going, it gives you confidence. When you are watching other team play and then you react to them, usually you're playing catch up. And it looks like the Winnipeg Jets did tonight.
Want to let people know that we are streaming live on Twitter. We are also streaming over on YouTube, and we're going to take your comments and your questions and our Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions. So please, by all means, send us your thoughts on the game tonight. I think the only place to start here, Struds, the only place we could possibly start as we dive into the specifics of this game is the sequence of events by Leon Draisaitl that led to him making one of the most seeing eye, unbelievable shots I think I've ever seen. I mean, it was unbelievable, the space that he had to hit and the fact that he hit it. But it wasn't just the shot. How about that entire sequence starting with the net drive?
Yeah, so he goes to the net, gets knocked into the net goes off its mooring. There's a penalty called. And so he's on the ground. He kind of gives a little push, the net, that is, to get it back in the hole. Doesn't happen, so he stands up, moves it into place, backs off. Moments later, the puck comes to him, and you can see, the goaltender comes up and presses up against him, whatever you want to call that move. Yeah. There's a little tiny hole. I bet you can fit a puck through there. Two
Crazy.
Pucks, I should say. And you can see Leon clutches it, sees it again, rips it, boom, right through that hole, and unreal shot. Just picks a spot. But you get, the two things here. One, when a goalie gives an area that, and a shooter like Leon knows he can shoot through, yep, and doesn't cover it up, he's going to shoot it. The other crime of that play is allowing him to shoot that. They got to go out.
He had space there, eh? Yeah.
That's the crime. That's, you can't give a shooter like that a shot. And it was for him, honestly, that's like, you see those guys make those types of shots after practice when there's hanging out. I'm just going to rip this top short side shelf. Boom. They rip it. And quite frankly, not every NHLer, but a lot of NHLers can make that play standing still, no pressure, goalie just holding his position. They can make that
I like the point that Devin makes here on YouTube as we go to the Weiss Johnson mentions. We've seen Leon miss open nets this season, and I'm so relieved that he found his confidence. I think that's a really good point, because how many times in the last kind of month and a half before his play picked back up did you see Draisaitl try one and then he ended up doing this, looking up at the rafters because he had he'd fired it wide or he wasn't quite on target. But that is a supremely confident shot, Struds.
Started with his first goal of the game. Didn't have a huge window there to put that in. Had to get it off quickly. Powers it through, hits the right spot, scores his first goal. So, listen, the guy he's right up there with goals. I don't know where he is exactly right now. I'm going to say top 5, top 6. So it's not like he's struggling. It's not like he has 20.
Yeah.
But I think that, he himself would say he has higher expectations for his goals totals. And he's starting to find it. Now I think that's like 7 out of 8 games he scored or something like that. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, he's burying.
And so he's feeling it. And Connor's feeling it. Others are starting to feel it as well. And not even feel it, but just starting to contribute, right? A little bit more kind of regularly. So, yeah, tonight was a very positive game for many reasons. And now they got to find a way to double down tomorrow.
Silvestri73 on the Twitter stream says, Oil looking all world this week seems to align with some of Dry's best games. No question, he can make a big impact on this team. When he plays this well, and he's been playing really well the last couple of games, makes a dramatic impact on the team. I think we need to go to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins next. So it gets into the scrap last game, taking on the guy that's bigger, and lays a thumping on him. Then tonight, we were interviewing him post-game. His face was a busted-up mess. Lips swollen all out to here. And I kind of said to him, sorry, man. Like, normally we wouldn't, knowing your face is all mucked up like this, we wouldn't bring you out. But you had such a good offensive night. And then he looked at me and he goes, not defensively? he was kind of being a smart ass. But a 4-point night. Gets his face busted up, wants to get right back out there. Like, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is on pace. I think he's back on pace for 100 points here.
Yeah, having an incredible year. Couldn't happen to a better guy. I mean, everyone loves this guy. But I'm going to point to the play of the game, the back check on the 2-on-1. And I honestly think that was the turning point, or not the turning point, but kind of sealed the deal for Winnipeg. Ekholm doesn't quite hold the puck in. He and Nuge start backpedaling, trying to get back into a 2-on-1 situation that Winnipeg have. And Ekholm, I love the play he does. He pushes him, gets Nuge's speed going. Nuge gets his sticks in there, tries to clear, doesn't get out, looks up, sees Yamamoto streaking, passes Yamo. Yamo goes in, makes no mistake, buries it on a breakaway. And I think that was a 3-0 goal. If I might be wrong, Shug, but I think that was around it. But that was a turning point right there, because if Winnipeg scores on that 2-on-1, it's 2-1. They don't because of a good back check by Nuge. Boom, they go their way, 3-0. Good night. Time to go home.
Can we talk about that back check for a second?
It's great.
So this is the one with the Ekholm push, right?
Yeah, Ekholm push. Yeah.
So this is the thing. Ekholm made a mistake on the play. I think he might have been involved in a turnover back up the other way. How many times have we seen guys try that push on a guy's rear end? And it's kind of like, whatever. Yeah. That's the first time I've ever seen it actually work. Mm-hmm. Like, it full on, the timing of it was perfect. And I was talking to Nugent-Hopkins after the game, and I said, like, did that work? And he's like, yeah. I wasn't quite there, and then suddenly I'm there, and he was able to knock it away. So even when Ekholm had made that mistake, he turns around and makes one of those kind of funky plays to salvage it. Nugent-Hopkins with a good back check there.
Yeah, usually when someone does it, it kind of gives the guys the wobble.
Yeah,
and I've even seen guys get pushed down. Yeah, I've seen it, and it just doesn't work. And it worked perfectly, right? But again, a calm play by Ekholm. He makes a mistake, or whatever, because I think he held it in, and then makes up for it. And Nuge bails his buddy out, and then they go out and they score that 3-0 goal like that. Again, not to get too dramatic, but that is a huge moment. Instead of 2-1, 3-0. Yep. Boom. See you later.
Kyler Yamamoto. He admitted after the game he was a little bit relieved. I'm here to tell you they explored trading Kyler Yamamoto for sure, and could have easily happened. Admitted after the game that he was relieved to still be here. Yeah. Listen, I like Yamamoto's game for a couple of reasons tonight. I think it's good when Yamamoto takes pucks and shoots them into the net. I mean, tip-ins in front are good, and being around the blue paint is good and everything. But I think he needs confidence in his shot. So he got it. Yes, the net was wide open, but he buried it. And I think that's good. Breakaway. Everybody watching buries it. I think these are important goals for him to be scoring. And yes, he could have had 2 or 3 more. But I think both of those are the types of goals that can give a guy that wants to feel it offensively an injection of confidence, because he buried both of those.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, confidence goes a long way, right? I mean, it bleeds into all your game. When you have it, it feels good. When you don't have it, you're struggling. And I really like the breakaway. I thought that was a great move.
I agree.
Very strong move. Takes it to his backhand, rips it up there like that. That's a huge thing. And now I think that gets him to 8 goals, and I think he's played around 40 games. So he's kind of on track for, if it was 82, if he played the full 82, it gets him to 15 and 20 goals, which is where I think he should be, where he needs to be. He needs to have a couple more games like this. He continues scoring, but you put him in the mix. You got Klim Kostin, you've got Fogle. Vander Kane has had kind of little impact this year just because, unfortunately, with some injury issues he had. I think the guy they have to find a way to get going, and it feels like he's starting to get a little traction, is Evan Bouchard. I think that's the guy that, if he was shooting it pretty well on the power play today. If he can score, and then, not that they need more goals, but just a guy that kind of feel it again, right? Another guy, okay, I'm starting to feel my game, I'm starting to feel it. And I think that is, for me, the next most important guy to get a couple goals would be Evan Bouchard.
For sure. By the way, I think Bouchard's had a couple of really good games here.
Yeah,
I think that, we knew this was going to be a challenge for him. We knew it was going to be increased minutes. They're still working things out on the power play, but he looked good. I thought he was making some confident plays. 2 games in a row where he and Ekholm, with increased minutes, I think he's been steady. I think he's leaning into this challenge, and I think the early returns have been good, and I think that's a really good sign for the Oilers.
A quick note I want to make, the first game I thought that Barrie was gone. Bouchard on that power play breakout was kind of angling towards the wall with the puck, and he wasn't giving Connor a good thing to do it. Tonight he made the adjustment. He was going straight up the ice, and it gives Connor the option, or Leon.
And his timing was a little bit better too. A little bit better with his timing. But people think that first drop pass should be easy. It's not. It's timing. You got to time McDavid's circle. You got to watch Draisaitl, make sure he's there for the outlets. Like Barrie was excellent at it. Bouchard was not, and it's something that Bouchard's going to continue to work on.
Watch video. Watch video of Barrie. The angle. He's got to watch the angle he takes up the ice. Do not get pinned on the wall, because it gives Connor or Leon nowhere to come behind you.
Yeah. Want to go to the mentions here, and this one pisses me off. So, you know what? Maybe it's because I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So Steve Tykon, if that's your name, says, good when a player shoots the puck in the net, quote, revolutionary thinking. So just being a complete smartass. That's not the point I was making. What I was saying is there's tip-ins and there's little 2-foot goals, and then there's grabbing the puck, going in on a breakaway in front of 18,000 people and burying it, and firing a shot from the high slot and burying it. So Steve Tykon, piss off. How's that?
Piss off. That's a Friday night. I'll put that on there.
I've kind of had it with people today. Maybe it's because of what you guys did to me on Gregor's show today, by the way.
Which one? Did I do something?
No, I don't know if you did. Gregor definitely did, though. I went on his show and presented like a slightly dissenting point, another way to look at this thing, and they turned it into absolute flipping mayhem. And it's the morons on Twitter have been coming at me all day, and I've been trying to stay out of it, but people keep sending it to me. Stop sending it to me. I don't want to see it. But Steve gets the brunt of my frustration today. You donkey. That's not what I meant. What else did you want to hit on as far as a structure of the Oiler game tonight that you liked?
So now that I coach, kids from 5 to 18, I start to develop kind of the way I believe that hockey needs to be played. And listen, I'm not revolutionizing the sport, but then you start seeing it more, right? Because you watch for your own teams and the kids that you help out, and then you see it. And I see it in the Oilers tonight was unreal, the way that they forechecked. And it's one thing for the first guy to get on the forecheck, but it's another if the puck goes side to side for everyone to regroup and get back over to where they need to be. And my God, they were all doing it. And it was from Connor right down to, Devon Shore. They were all just side to side, getting back above the puck. Like that to me I know that I like that because I hated play against it because they work so hard. Like if I beat you, you should just stop trying. Just stop trying. Let me now make my play. But they did it, and I thought, I call it being above the puck. And I thought they did a great job today. And Winnipeg had no answer. And they've got some pretty skilled D-men over there. I'm looking at Josh Morrissey, and I think he took 4 goals off the chin today. Like that is one ugly night for a guy who is probably in the Norris or was in the Norris Trophy conversation. So that is something that I want to see. Let's see if they can back it up tomorrow, right? So, they've actually probably played better on the road than at home, the Oilers. Can they go back and do it again? Because, they did it against Boston, pretty good team, a little harder to do it against them. But against a team like Winnipeg that's floundering a little bit, do it again. And those D, they got frustrated. You could tell they were not happy. It's a hard way. It's a hard way to play, but it's a great way to play because you're rewarded so well by beating the other team's end.
Yeah, the Jets, boy, man, are they tumbling. The quality of their play, the confidence of their group, their top players not playing the right way. They played some good hockey earlier this year, but it hasn't been a good little run for them. Struddy, grab a couple of mentions there out of the Weiss Johnson mentions, and I'll remind you that with 45 years in the business, if you are in need of a new furnace, garage heater, air conditioner, hot water tank, or if you want any of those things in your house serviced, Weiss Johnson is the place to go. Like I said, 45 years in the industry. Give Dennis and the awesome crew out down at Weiss Johnson a call. You can visit their showroom. A really nice showroom, actually, 5803 Roper Road, or give them a call at 780-463-3096. You know the jingle. You love the jingle. You need the jingle. Weiss Johnson, whoa. What do you got, Struddy?
I don't think this is his real name. The Twitter handle is @JustHereForNHL. It says, "What's going to take to get this team a shutout? Boys stop playing a little near the end. Still a great win." And I agree. I'd really like to see this team just get a shutout. Like they haven't had a shutout all year, which is actually
I think they're
pretty
one
incredible.
Of like 3 or 4 teams only in the league, or 4 teams. Yeah. Gregor and I looked at this the other night. I think it's like maybe 4 teams.
But I do actually think that they I think they did kind of slow down. Like let's be honest. What happens is when it gets out of hand, the other team, some of them gets pissed. So some of the players on their team get pissed off. Some just shut it down completely. And then you're an Oilers player, like I just kind of want to get through this. I don't want to get hurt or whatever. So I would like to see them carried out, but I think in the analytic world they call that game effects.
Yeah, score effects. Yes,
score effects. Sorry, and people just kind of mail it in, and so it's unfortunate. I think Skinner deserved better. But you look at those 3 goals. Like the first one, I didn't like the way it kind of happened. I didn't like the rebound he gave. Shot goes in, then Darnay serves it up a pizza like DeMello did earlier in the year on the PK. So not great, but whatever. They won 6-3, and I guess that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. Steve didn't like that I said piss off to him, Struddy. He's expressing his upset here on the feed, but I suppose what I would say is when you commit me with disrespect, being a prick, I kind of have license to do the same to you. So feel free to hop off the stream. That's all the attention you get. More mentions, Struddy?
Yeah, this one's from old @moose_knuckle99. Classy. Who comes out tomorrow night?
Who comes out tomorrow night?
Let's just assume that what's his name?
Bukestad?
Bukestad. I'm thinking Bjorkstrand.
They did not get Bjorkstrand. Bukestad they got.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah. Honest
so
mistake.
Let's assume that he goes in. Do they go 12-6? I doubt it.
No.
Actually,
they're an 11-7 team all day long, man. Yeah, Derek Ryan can come out. I like the way Devin Shore play. I think Devin Shore's playing like a guy who recognizes the situation he's in.
Well, he's kind of got a jail free card. He's back playing and going pretty hard. So I think that you're right. It's probably one of those 2 guys. But I'd love to see him. I wish I would have got a guy that could win some faceoffs. I hope that he can. Bukestad. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I think he'd probably be one of those 2 guys.
A couple of questions coming off of the Matty Lyon 21 says Shore comes out. He thinks that's an obvious one.
Should be mentioned. I don't think anyone deserves to come out.
That's tough decisions for the coach because everybody's playing pretty good.
And I'll say it. I was in that situation before where coach had to come tell you, like, you've literally done nothing wrong, but you're coming out. And I you're God, I'm pissed off. But really, what can you say? Like, like players know. They're not idiots. They're not going to be like, what? I got to come out of here. And then imagine when Kane comes back, right? Now that's another layer. That's a whole other layer. Someone else has to come out, right? So
they recognize the quality around them. They recognize the caliber of this team, and it's tough, right? Like, it's hard to argue with it.
Yeah, it's not fair. But that's the thing. NHL isn't fair. It's not fair. They're there to win. They're going to put the lineup they think they can help them win the most. So, whoever comes out tomorrow, I feel badly for them. It's not fair.
Maybe it's Derek Ryan. Is it potentially Derek? I mean, he played 14:44 tonight.
Yeah, who was
Devin Shore played 10:15.
Who was that, 8 or 9?
Costin played 8:49. Yeah, 8:49 from Costin. But I don't know if they take him out. Things got a little nasty at the end of that game. I'm not taking him out of the lineup.
There's no way. There is no way I take him out. I think that he and maybe got, there's so many penalties. Maybe he kind of got caught up in that, like what did I think I saw? Who was it? Leon or someone played 9 minutes of power play time. Like, that's crazy.
What did you think of the power play? I mean, a power play that goes at the clip that the Oilers do, maybe, I don't know. Like, what were they tonight? Were they 2 for 9?
2 for 9.
They end up 2 for 9.
Yeah.
What did you think overall? It's 2 games here with Barry not there and Evan Bouchard eating up the bulk of the minutes on the point there. What have you thought about the way that it's sort of trying to click?
Yeah, I think there is a bit of adjustment period with Bouchard. I definitely think it was a step in the right direction from first game to second game. Yeah. I will say, though, they don't get all those power plays are great because Bouchard's able to figure it out on the fly. I get the sense that Bouchard isn't sure when he should shoot and not shoot. Now there's a sequence, I think it was in the third, he absolutely ripped a bomb. And I loved it. Be like, hey guys, I can still shoot this thing. I'm gonna let it fly.
Yeah. And I thought that was a good shot selection because he did have a body near the net. Right. It wasn't a screen, but there was a body right there.
I think that's the one where Hyman kind of flashed in front of the goalie.
Yeah.
So I would expect that those guys being 97 and 93, I guess, but 29 will sit and say, this is where we need to shoot. This is where we don't want to shoot. Like, just be very clear. And that's, a young player, he has the skill set. He just doesn't have the knowledge. So you have to be clear to him, say, when you get a lane, there's someone in front, shoot it. Or, if we're not really getting the puck, let's say, to the net in the first 15, 20 seconds, take a shot. Like, I don't know what they want, but I think they need to sit down and then talk to them. But yeah, I thought it was a step in the right direction. Breakouts better, in zone better. But you can see Bouchard's working hard across that blue line, man. He's getting back and forth across that blue line as fast as he can. Yeah,
for sure. There was one sequence where the puck got caught in the left corner, and instinctively the player looked to fire it back to the line. Barry would have been there, right? Just that instinct of exactly where to be on that line and such. Bouchard had played it off a little bit more into the middle. Those are the things that are going to come with time. As the D-man reading those plays from the blue line, those guys know, like, they clicked at such a high pace. They know exactly where it's going, and he'll learn to read those things. But I think overall, the early returns on Evan Bouchard's game, the last 2 games, with increased pressure, increased minutes, and running that power play, I think he's taken some good steps because 19 minutes is not something he's dealt a ton with this year, right? Like, this is a step up for him. His minutes were down a fair amount. A couple more from the mentions here. Rishaug's forehead is the size of Rexall Place, says R. Pavlis 53. Thank you for that.
Nice compliment.
Rishaug's pissy. He's been hanging out with Dry too much. No, I have not. No, long day for him. He needs sleepy time. See, now they're ganging up on me, Struddy. I defend myself once, and now it's coming at me from all directions.
Can't show the weakness. Can't show the weakness. They smell weakness. It's like sharks and blood. Yeah. They can smell water 100 miles away, or smell blood in the water 100 miles away.
100%. Bukestad hasn't played in almost a week. We sure he's playing. He sat a few games. Yeah, I think they got to get him up and running. I absolutely think, if he's available and if he's ready to go, just rock and roll with Bukestad in the lineup. See what you got.
100%.
Gregor made a really good point tonight during the game. He thinks we'll see them go 12-6 a few times between now and the end of the year, just to see what their lineup looks like with that configuration, with the new pieces and the new forwards and such. I think it would probably make sense to do that, hey?
100%. He's going to try different things out, right? And he's, he's going to want to get forwards. Like I say, if you keep it 11-7 and Kane comes back and everyone gets healthy, there's a lot of forwards just squeezing out. The interesting part is I think then probably what happens is Broberg and Darnay kind of rotate in and out.
Yeah.
But Darnay is becoming a pretty important part of the penalty kill.
Playing well.
Yeah, you know, like
well.
he had the one turnover, and that, you know, it was just random. It was probably the right play, you know, maybe a little bit casual, but it was kind of pretty much the right play. But he's making plays. I thought he skated so well today. He was all over the ice.
You know what I liked about that mistake that he made?
Yeah.
So it led to a goal.
Yeah.
Jay Woodcroft left him on the ice.
Yeah.
And I think that means something, because when you screw up like that, Struds, and you skate, it's kind of the skate of shame back to the bench.
Yeah,
if you get pulled, then you just got to sit there and you're like, I wonder when my next shift's going to be. No, Woodcroft gives him this one, or Manson, or whoever. No, stay out there. You got this. We believe in you. Yeah. I mean, they got scored on right away, but he was on the bench by the time they got scored on. Like, you tell me, you make a mistake and the coach waves you. No, stay out there. That means something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think even more so than that, when you come back to the bench, the coach just thinks over, keep making plays, kid. Just keep making plays, making plays. And I really think that that's important. And, you know, when I look back on my career, there were some times where you make a mistake and the coach would just tear you in half, and it just shrunk you down to nothing. Yeah. And you know, sometimes you'd react all the different ways, but I think he knows the mistake he made. Everyone knows. You don't have to like beat him up for it. I think you say, buddy, just this is the right idea. This is what I do a little bit differently, but keep making plays. Keep making plays. You're out there to make plays and do your thing. And that, I think, kind of fills your players with confidence. I
like Stu Skinner's night. I think he's been pretty steady here. Obviously, the team would have liked to have buckled it down a little bit more for him, but feels to me like Skinner, and they'll go with Campbell tomorrow. They have to in the back-to-back. But some decent signs here from Skinner.
Yeah, I like his game. It just, when he's at his best, it looks easy because he's just in the right place. Like, I didn't think he was flying all over the net. Like, I thought Hellebuck, I thought he was all over the net. Like, there was, you know, one time where they tried to pass it in front, and I think Hellebuck, he was trying to take a face off. Like, he was all over the net, and I don't think that's when he's at his best either. So I don't know what they do. Do they go back with Big Save Dave tomorrow, or does Hellebuck get a second start in a row?
Well, they pulled him, right? And maybe they pulled him with that in mind. Give him a little bit of a break just to sort of try and regroup and get him back in there. Like, they need a win. They got to win, and there's pretty big drop off from him to the next guy.
To Big Save Dave, not nickname wise. That nickname is. I wish I could.
Terrible nickname for a goalie.
I love that nickname.
Every goal you let in, they can skate by you. Like, where was the big save, Dave? Like, it's such an easy chirp.
Well, wasn't that the guy? Isn't that the goalie that was after the shootout in Calgary?
I think
that's him, right? So I can't help it. Like, I just get joy when I see him struggle. I don't know why. I'm not a Calgary anti-Edmonton. Like, you know, I'm not that guy. But when I love when people do that. Big save Dave. Yeah, I love it. I think it's Hellebuck too. He played a doubleheader a couple weeks ago. I think he can do it again. Yeah, I would.
What do you think of the third line?
So who's your third line?
McLeod, Fogle, and Janmark. What do you think? Janmark. What do you think of their play? Like, I would still like to see McLeod try and be somewhat physical once a game. Yeah. I mean, that bothers me, and that, I guess that's kind of stuck in my head, so I noticed that. But I don't know. Feels to me like they're skating pretty fast and making things happen. Like, is there something developing here that maybe might be usable in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the big guy likes it, Jay. I thought it was actually a scrum where McLeod would grab someone and kind of push him around a little bit. It's kind of caught off guard. But no, I think I like their. I really like their speed. I like the way they skate. And I think those guys really had actually a pretty good forechecking game, you know, when they would get it going. And that's your job as I don't know, the third line, whatever line you want to call them. You know, I just, for many years here, even when I was playing, our third line, it didn't really, I'm not sure what its purpose was. And maybe it wasn't enough skill, but this line, when I see this line play, I feel that they are a line that is trying to bring energy, be responsible defensively, and then kind of set the tone for other players. They can score, like McLeod's been scoring. You know, Janmark scored a few goals. Yeah. But that is what I want to see. And Fogle scored. And I want to see that. I want to see that from that line, not just come out and kill it. Like, hey, we're just going to kill 45 seconds. Let's try to set something up. That's what I'd like to see.
Okay, great breakdown of the game here tonight. Let's dive into a recap on the trade deadline in our takeaways. And takeaways tonight is brought to you by Horse Racing Alberta. The Alberta horse racing industry and breeding industry contributes over $300 million to the Alberta economy annually, and the industry employs over 5,000 hard-working Albertans. Experience some of the finest thoroughbred racing in Western Canada at Century Mile Racetrack and Casino when live thoroughbred racing returns in May. For more information and to stay up to date on everything going on out there, go to thehorses.com. Okay, Struds, we expected that it wouldn't be much, if anything, from the Oilers today. My understanding is they tried. They tried to get some stuff done today. Nothing really came to fruition. I think they would have liked to have added another defenseman back there to kind of insulate things a little bit, but they weren't able to. So, in the grand scheme of things, if you were grading Ken Holland here, what kind of a grade would you give him for the two additions that he was able to make?
I'd give him a B.
Subtraction.
Yeah, I'd give him a B. Let's start with subtraction. It was time for everybody involved, and I'm not going to rehash it and not start a fight, but it was time.
No, let's get into it.
For Puljujarvi, it was just time. It was time, and I hope he gets his visa and gets down to Carolina and can do what he wants to do.
It was weird today when I saw him skating there.
I saw your tweet.
My camera guy texted me. He's like, I think this is Puljujarvi out here. So I walked out, and he was like wearing his Oiler gear with a sweater turned inside out.
So awkward. So awkward. I felt bad for him. It's just an awkward.
He's got to stay on the ice.
But it's an awkward end. It's awkward skate. Like the whole thing is just a mess. But anyways, the Ekholm, I think he's exactly what they needed. Am I worried about what this will look like in 3 years? Yeah, maybe. But let's live in the now. They need him. I think he does a lot of good things on the ice. He's pretty physical, moves the puck well, shuts down things. I think it's going to help Nurse. It's really going to help Bouchard, I hope, and Broberg. Right? There's just mentorship there that I think that was missing without Keith.
You know what? Someone just pointed out.
I know, I saw it.
I've had you fonted as Jason Gregor. So listen, I'm going to try and fix this on the fly because I feel bad that this happened.
It's fine. Don't feel bad because I don't want to. No, it's fine. It's quite an honor for Gregor to have.
No, I need to fix this. This is so bad. Okay, sorry. Continue your thought. You got finished talking about what are you? Yeah. Jason _Strudwick, right?
Yeah. And then, so those are the first two guys. And then as far as after that, we've got Bukestad. And Bukestad, I think he, in theory, should finish a few things off, right? He's pretty big. He's scored well. I talked to a guy down in Arizona, said that he was really important for their team. I'm just not convinced that he is the face-off guy that was required. And we saw today a couple of key face-off losses. Now, some of them were when they were, the wingers or the D-men didn't help out enough. But I and I'm going to use Colorado again, and I know you guys are tired of hearing me talk about it. But when I look at the additions they put on their fourth line, Andrew Cogliano and Sturm last year, that was the two guys they traded for. And in my mind, that was what I was hoping he was going for, right?
Yeah.
And just speed and or size. And so there's the size in Bukestad. So, but I don't see if he's going to help the penalty kill. I think, and but I'm not convinced. I know with Cogliano, he helps you out.
So let's discuss Bukestad a little bit here.
Yeah.
By all accounts, and I've talked to a couple of scouts about his specific play this year. He's actually, kind of by his standards, had a pretty good year here, and he's putting up some numbers.
Yeah.
But how much of an impact do you think it has on a guy playing in that market, in that rink, deep into his career, meaningless games, and with the quality of player around him that maybe bleeds a little bit on his numbers? So I guess what I'm saying is, put him into this building with this excitement level on a team that's contending. How much more jump is there in his step? How much more bear down is there in his face-offs? How much more help does he have around him with higher quality players that he's out there with more often? I just can't help but wonder if, 23 points in 59 games for the guy in Arizona, right? Goal scoring wise, he's up there with some of his career best years. I just can't help but think that all those stats that you look at and you think, they're a little bit underwhelming, if maybe there isn't a bump there by arriving at Edmonton.
100%. Just like when you're playing on a really good team and you go to a weaker team, there's going to be a bit of maybe a reset of your stats. So listen, I'm not saying I don't like it. I don't, I don't want to be that. I don't want to say that. I say that I'm hopeful that what has happened so far, kind of rejuvenation of his career, is able to carry it on with here. But until I start seeing those face-off wins in key moments, like, do you think that when the Oilers are protecting a lead in the 7th game of second round of the playoffs, that it's going to be McDavid, Leon, and Bukestad going out there?
Well, no, I don't think it needs to be, because they've got other players. Like, why wouldn't you want Hyman out there instead? Why wouldn't you want?
Well, because they need some face-off winners. I need a face-off winner.
So you mean to put the extra face-off winner out there, depending on which side it's on. I mean,
the right side. It's a right side face-off, and
yeah.
I think that, I don't know if Leon, there's something going with Leon's face. I didn't take a look at what his face-off record was tonight, but I felt like last year he was a horse in the playoffs. Now that might be incorrect, but I thought he did a great job in the playoffs last year. And they don't
47% tonight, 8 and 9.
Yeah. So 50 for what it's worth, but
yeah.
I don't know. So I'm not beating them up. Is it enough? Did they get enough of what they needed in Bukestad? And we'll find out.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to, and I love your breakdown of the deadline for Ken Holland. I too would give him in and around that B range. I'm going to restate my point from earlier today. And on my show, I get to state it how I want and not be interrupted and not be thrown under the bus after I'm done, because when I'm done, the show ends. This is the point that I want to make. And then people feel free to weigh in and let me know what you think. Really important, I want to put this into context. I think Ken Holland had a good deadline, and I think he added the core piece to make this team defend better that he needed to add. I do believe that. And so I think he gave this team a better chance than before by making the addition that he made. My point is, I don't think that the standard should be, oh boy, the Oilers are going to finish strong and be one of the better teams in the league, and how their regular season finishes or how they look in the first round of the playoffs or anything.
Right.
I think when you're judging the Edmonton Oilers roster, you're looking at the whole roster. I'm paying the team the compliment of looking at that saying, how's that roster going to do in the Stanley Cup final? Because I believe that's where the standard is and should be for this group, right? So I'm looking at as a guy who's been to many Stanley Cup finals, and I've looked at many Stanley Cup championship defenses, and that's what I look at the Oiler blue line, and my thought is they're definitely going to defend better. But if the standard is, can this blue line win a Stanley Cup? It feels a little bit thin to me. That's my instinct on their blue line compared to Stanley Cup championship teams, right? And so that leads me to ask the question, because they didn't add, they swapped out. So they took an NHL defenseman and took him out of their lineup, took a different NHL defenseman, put him in their lineup. This NHL defenseman that they added defends better, does a whole bunch of things 5-on-5 better. I understand that. He's an upgrade, but it wasn't an addition, right? Because they had to move a guy out that played quite a bit and played an important role. So I'm simply asking the question, Struds, was there a pathway for them to have added a top 4 defenseman without having to remove a quality defenseman? Because now you have added, not just upgraded. And now you've got at your disposal more usable NHL experienced defensemen to go on a playoff drive with. And you're not as thin. That is the point I was making. Their blue line feels a little bit thin. I believe there was a pathway to get Chychrun here without moving Tyson Barrie. I do believe that was there. They would have had to take, a player like Fogle or Yamamoto or somebody else and package a pick and move him to another team, but the space would have been there, and I believe it potentially could have been there. I'm simply asking the question. I still think he made good trades, and I still think he helped his team, but that could have been another pathway. And as I look at that blue line and it looks a little thin by my standard of a cup-winning blue line, that's the point that I make. I asked that question.
Yeah, so I'll answer like this. Let's say they trade for Chychrun and they're able to keep Barrie. In my mind, they're still missing a top 4 defenseman.
Who missing a top four defenseman? But if they moved Barry and they brought in it, so you think they're missing a top four defenseman right now?
With or yes, I do believe they are still.
Okay.
So with or without Barry, they're still missing a top four defenseman, right? So I think, let's say they got Chychrun and they still had Barry. It would be Nurse, CC, Chychrun,
Bouchard or Barry.
Yeah, and then probably
Kulak.
and then Kulak and Bouchard.
Darnay, Bouchard. Yeah.
So I believe they'd still be missing a top four defenseman. I've said this. I think I said this a while ago. I think it was actually a genius move. Is that they're moving closer all the time to having the finished product that Ken Holland's looking for. Ekholm's a big deal for that. I think in the perfect world, you want to have Nurse, somebody, Ekholm, Bouchard, and then whatever on the bottom. So no disrespect to CC, but he's not a top pair defenseman. They need to find that guy. That guy probably plays in San Jose, and they'll probably never be able to get him. So either they have to home grow with this thing, or they have to find a way to make it work, or hope the cap goes up a ton, which I don't know if that's going to happen. But so I think I'll answer it. So again, with keeping Barry, keeping Chychrun, I still think they were a top 4 D-man short. They'd be in the same place. Yeah.
And again, and maybe adding a more defensive minded depth guy too, right? Like I think about Ryan Murray, in the role that he was supposed to play on the team this year, and there's been some really unfortunate injuries for him. But imagine if, not necessarily Murray, but if that player in that position had turned out to be a really good, solid, like a Luke Shen type, shutdown guy, that sort of thing, just to give you a little bit more depth. If the Oilers run into injuries on the blue line, Struds, they're going to be in trouble, man. That's what I'm saying. They're thin.
So who's the 8th defenseman down there?
Demers? Niemelainen? They traded Kesselring here.
I know that was a bit of a shocker. I don't know if he's going to be. It sounded like he was going to play tonight in Arizona. I don't know if he's the answer, but no, you're right. So there's no chance Murray comes back. He's done.
I'm not ready to report that yet, but he's been having lots of difficulty with the injury, and I would say it's not looking great, but we'll see which way it goes.
And I'm sorry to hear that, because I don't want to hear anyone have to go out because of that.
Absolutely.
But there's no doubt they're thin, man. There is no doubt, and I'm not going to argue with it, but they're still a top 4 D-man short. And I think that's something that Ken Holland has to figure out this summer. I don't know where the money comes from. I don't know what you do, but they got to figure that out.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want to say, to be fair here, is that I believe Bouchard and Barry would not have both been on the team to start next season. I think one of those guys was going this summer. And so by doing it now, they found a team that was taking Barry, and so they get the money off their books. It'll free up a little bit of space. And really what it does is it clears the pathway and sends a signal to Evan Bouchard that we believe in you. We believe you're ready. This is yours. Go ahead and grab it, right? So it helped them a little bit for the future as well. So again, to reiterate, I do believe Ken Holland made a good trade that helped this team with what it needs. I do have this thing in my head as I look at their blue line that's saying they're going to be thin when they're down to the Final Four or the Stanley Cup Final. That's just where my head is at. Both things can, I can believe both those things at the same time.
But when this summer, when they add another top 4 defenseman, and it's CC or Nurse somebody, then the 2 guys I mentioned, and Brober coming in, that is when you can say, okay, this team, this is truly ready. I think it's incremental improvement. Yeah. I think that is huge for this group.
Just here for NHL says, I think the better question is, could they have added Ekholm without trading away Barry? No, Ekholm is the far more expensive of the two between he and Chychrun. Remember, there's a big price difference between those two, and that's why the pathway would have been there to add Chychrun and keep Barry. Would never have been there, I don't think, to have added Ekholm and kept Tyson Barrie. I like this one from Logan35 Brandon, and maybe we'll end on this. The play of the Oiler goalies will determine how far this team goes. I think that's probably, we can split hairs on the D all we want. They're going to need these guys to be really, really good in the postseason.
Yeah, every team's the same thing. I think that I agree with that, but I also think, when you saw a game the way the Oilers played tonight, and I'll leave the last 10 minutes out of it, the first 50 minutes, they were structured in front. They played hard. They were all over the place, playing well, defending, and I think it makes it easier for the goalies. So you need saves, but the team has to help them out.
Yep, absolutely. Struds, great job tonight, my friend. Thanks.
You got it, buddy. Talk to you later.
Have a great weekend, and we'll check in early next week. Oilers heading out on a road trip here, so plenty of podcasts coming your way over the next week. Talk to you soon, Struddy. Thanks, everybody, for your involvement here on the live stream. Sorry I got a little grumpy. I try not to do that, but sometimes it just gets the better of you, social media. But we really do appreciate your involvement here on the live stream. Struds and I have lots of fun chatting with everybody, YouTube and Twitter as well. Big thanks to our sponsors, Mid-City Construction Management, Weiss Johnson, and the Horses, Horse Racing Alberta. Oilers in Winnipeg tomorrow night. Plenty of podcasts coming your way next week. Enjoy the rest, whatever's left of your Friday evening, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.